So guys, it's an exciting time. There's been a brand new franchise or IP revealed at yesterday's Game Awards from Naughty Dog, the creators behind Uncharted and The Last of Us franchises. And the community is kind of torn on it right now. People are calling it woke. And I have a feeling that they could be right. Let's talk about it. I'm Blaze2K. Let's get into it. Let's go. But before we get into the video, guys, check all the links down below in the video description for the best tech you could find, hands down. We've got all the best tech of the year, all the best PS5 Pro accessories and PS5 accessories, all the best Steam Deck accessories if that's your thing, and the best coffee ever made by mankind with nootropic mushrooms that just improves your health. And talking of health, if you want to invest in your sleep and your health overall, the best smart ring that tracks your sleep and tracks basically a bunch of body metrics for you, the Ultra Human Ring Air. Use my links down below to save money right now. Click them, click them, click them. Anyways, enjoy the... So, Naughty Dog has basically announced a brand new game, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. It's basically a new sci-fi game by Naughty Dog, set thousands of years in the future. Players can take on the role of Jordan Amon, a skilled bounty hunter stranded on the mysterious planet of Saphira. She likes to shave her head. She's very masculine, like a lot of female leads in newer games that have been announced. Is there an agenda? But she's a skilled bounty hunter stranded on the mysterious planet of Saphira, which has lost contact with the universe for centuries. Jordan's mission is to be the first to escape in over 600 years, battling both robotic enemies and unraveling the planet's dark history. Now, the gameplay, well, specifics on gameplay mechanics are kind of scarce right now. From what we've seen, it does look pretty decent. Naughty Dog's promised it to be their wildest and most creative story yet, with deep gameplay that builds on the legacy from franchises like Uncharted, The Last of Us, and the game features a cinematic trailer with elements reminiscent of a classic anime, hinting at a mix of action, exploration, and puzzle solving. I hate puzzle solving. But anyways, the aesthetic looks pretty good. I like how they've got a lot of brand placement. We've seen Sony CD music content, like a lot of old sort of 80s looking things, references, you know, CRT TVs, a Porsche spaceship, which is pretty sweet. But there's been a lot of controversy, especially in the community. They've actually disabled comments on the Naughty Dog trailer following the reveal due to a lot of backlash from people. Fans and viewers are accusing the game of being woke, particularly focusing on the protagonist, Jordan, who is portrayed by Tati Gabrielle, an Asian actress with a shaved head, leading to claims of forced diversity, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion agendas. Is there an agenda behind this game? I feel like a lot of the community... certain parts of the community, I feel like, are kind of have valid points. We're seeing a lot of new games come out. I mean, look at Dragon Age Inquisition, for example. We're seeing a lot of female protagonists that have very masculine futures, different sexualities and genders, pronouns, all that sort of stuff being pushed into video games these days. And I don't think anyone's against that, ultimately, but it's the way that it's being pushed on a lot of big franchises, new franchises, games, and being put forefront ahead of the story in some cases. I hope that's not the case with this one, but I mean, you can't be blind to not notice it, right? I mean, sure, is it a bad thing? No, but is it being made, you know, being forced in everyone's face as like first and foremost above storyline and gameplay? Is that right? Probably not, but let's talk about it. So the fan backlash, basically, it's not just isolated to Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Similar criticisms were seen with Last of Us Part 2, where the character Abby faced a lot of backlash for her muscular build, narrative role, which some fans perceived as pandering to political correctness, right? And as a trend, masculine female leads in gaming, there's been a noticeable trend in gaming where female characters like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, Ellie from The Last of Us, and Amicia from The Plague Tale are not only protagonists, but also have traits traditionally associated with masculinity, with men, strength, combat prowess, leadership. And we know, not to say that women can't be that at all, but seeing it as often as we do in games when that's not traditionally what we see in real life, it's kind of, it makes it seem like they are pushing an agenda, right? Now, a lot of gamers, some gamers at least, feel that there's an overt agenda to push these characters, suggesting that developers are prioritizing diversity over storytelling, character development. I feel like we very rarely see in games these days strong female leads that have feminine traits, right? We're not seeing strong female characters that are overtly female, and feminine in that sort of way, in a traditional sort of sense. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into it any further. But I feel like if they're going to start prioritizing that, you know, gender, sexuality, pronouns, they need to build it in a way that's not forceful and in everyone's face. And I don't know, that's my opinion. Take it for what you will. Let me know if you disagree. Now, the sentiment was particularly vocalized during the reveal of Concord, which we know was cancelled. Games were taken back, refunded. Sony basically cancelled the game and laid off all the staff that worked on it, essentially, because it was met with significant pushback due to its character designs and perceived focus on diversity. Firewalk Studios faced a lot of criticism, obviously, with the characters, many of whom were described as unrelatable or forced in terms of diversity, leading to a wave of negative feedback and memes, to be frank, on social media. So we've got to talk about representation versus storytelling, right? There's a debate about whether the push for representation should influence game narratives or if it detracts from the story when it feels forced. Some argue for a balance where diversity enhances rather than dictates the story, and I think that's a pretty fair point. Now, fans' expectations and developer intent. Developers like Naughty Dog aim to create compelling stories. We know that, with diverse casts. And again, nothing wrong with that. But there's a disconnect when the fans feel that characters are designed more for political statements than for narrative necessity. And I can completely agree with that. I want to see more female leads, for sure, but I want them to feel natural. I want them to be, you know, conducive to a good storyline. I want them to be, you know, in the background, you know, whether the way they dress, their sexuality, their, you know, gender, their pronouns and stuff. I want that to be background. I don't want it to be first and foremost, or else it feels forced. And gamers aren't stupid. Gamers know when stuff's being pushed, you know, propaganda is being pushed towards them. Not that I'm saying this is propaganda by any means, but that's what I'm seeing in the comment sections. Obviously, there's an undeniable cultural shift going on towards more inclusive representation, and that's not a bad thing, but, you know, you need to be realistic about how they do it, which can be seen as a positive move towards inclusivity, but it also clashes with traditional fan bases who yearn for the old ways of game design, where character diversity was less prominent, right? I mean, we had female leads in the past. Look at Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, a lot of female leads in the past, but they didn't seem forced, right? I mean, it was kind of cool. Now we're seeing a lot of female leads that are shaving their hair, that have masculine builds, that have, you know, lack of a better word, manly bodies. And we're seeing it pushed and pushed and pushed. And we're seeing commercial failures in terms of, like, people just not buying the game, people not being fed that and not wanting that. You know, we're all happy to have female characters in our games, but when they're the lead and they go along, you know, when it happens in every game, it's getting to the point where, like, this isn't just that. This isn't, you know, they're intentionally doing this for some sort of agenda. That's when it feels forced, and that's when people start to disconnect from it. So ultimately, it looks like an amazing game. I love the brands in it. Adidas, he's wearing Adidas sneakers. It's a Porsche spaceship. You know, we're seeing a Sony CD player there, Sony Walkmans and stuff like that, CRT TVs. It looks super cool. I think it looks awesome. I think I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it at some point. But it stands at the crossroad of this debate in gaming culture right now. It's a testament to Naughty Dog's ambition to tell new stories in new worlds, but it also highlights the challenges of navigating modern expectations around representation, character representation. And the conversation isn't just about one game, but I think overall it reflects broader discussions on how games should evolve with or against cultural trends. Let me know what you think in the comments. Ultimately, I think it's good, but again, another female lead with male traits. I saw some people say they'd rather play the female lead in the anime that was playing at the start of the trailer. Which I think is pretty fair. I mean, she's a feminine woman who's in a kick-ass role, kicking ass. That's awesome. But this, like, how they have to emphasize this woman shaving her head bald and then being very masculine in the way she dresses and stuff like that. I mean, it just feels very forced. Surely you're not blind to that. Not that there's anything wrong with it by any means, but it feels very, very forced. And if it was just this game, I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. But when it's happening again and again, in just about every game, every big franchise going, you know, like I says, Dragon Age, Concord, a bunch of different games are doing similar things. The fact that they have to emphasize her shaving her head like this, if that isn't trying to send a message or push an agenda, I don't know what is. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you disagree, please explain why. And I'm open-minded. But yeah, people are rightly confused about this. And some of the comments kind of had me crack it up. I feel like Will Smith will slap me for making fun of her. From the studio that brought you Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, and Uncharted. Nice. How many of them still work there? And that's a good point. When the PS5 Pro doesn't come with a disc drive, but we need a CD player to put music in the future. And someone says we got bootlegged. Apologies, I forgot to put on the other screen. We got bootleg Concord before GTA 6. And again, that comment that I mentioned, can I play the characters from the background anime instead? This game is going to make Concordian dollars. And have I seen this protagonist like in other 20 games? The people who are buying new Jaguars are going to have fun with this game, all three of them. And somebody says, I guess it's time to get an Xbox. And that dog isn't naughty anymore. We want the Concord audience. So that guy she's hunting, am I insane or is that Kamal? That's right, that the Pakistani actor Kamal Nanjiani is in it, so that's pretty cool. You didn't learn anything from Concord. So basically, we're seeing the same sentiment, wokeness being brought up. And I mean, a lot of people are like, why are these anti-woke people getting on this? Because they're emphasizing the fact that she's, first of all, female, that shaves her head, wears a tank top, has tattoos all over her arms, and she's got a very masculine build, and she's doing masculine things. I mean, sure, you could say, why are people getting woke about it? I mean, the fact that they have to focus in on her shaving her head, why does that matter? Why can't she have long hair? Why can't she be more feminine? Is being feminine a bad thing these days? Women being feminine? Why do women always have to be masculine in these games? Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm Blazed2K. Like, subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know what you think in the comments. Are you as up in arms about this, or are you just excited to play the game? I'm excited to play the game, but I'm not blind to the fact that there's an agenda being pushed. Anyways, peace out.
Let's go.